What's going on, Pony Baseball and Softball Nation? I'm Carson Fox here today, joined with a very special guest, Chuck Kosey. Chuck was one of the very first Pony baseball players to ever play the game. He recorded the first hit, stole the first base, and scored the first run. And he came all the way from Reno, Nevada to do this interview. So, Chuck, we greatly appreciate you coming here to do this interview. So take me back. What was Pony baseball like in the 1950s?
It was an entirely different world then than it was today. It was a bunch of young people that played softball in their backyards with softballs, and transportation was very hard. It was basically 5-6 years after the Second World War, and everybody didn't have an automobile or a car for transportation. So if you had practice, you walked or found somebody that could ride you to the park, which was 2-3 mile walk from where I lived. It also brought local neighborhoods together. Here in Washington, we had 8 wards of schools, and everybody stayed in their own area and played ball, and they had their own playground there and their own school there. So when Pony baseball started, it sort of brought the neighborhoods together, which we never visited neighborhoods, and we met the people. And we met these young boys that was playing in their own neighborhood that we may have met in high school, but we wasn't going to meet them for a few years. So it brought a lot of us together. Everybody didn't have any training in baseball. They just played in the backyard amongst themselves with no parents, no coaches. Mm-hmm. So Pony brought something to us that we really needed. It brought discipline to us. It taught us how to play the game. And basically, if you think back, the heroes were the volunteers, the men and the adults that maybe just came back from the war, and they stepped up and coached. And they was coaching kids that didn't have any baseball experience. Mm. It was rough to work with. I mean, we didn't have any training. We didn't know how to slide. We didn't know how to do anything. We just played in the backyard. Yeah. So these men sort of molded us into young men and taught us to be sportsmen and learn how to win or lose. But that wasn't always the name of the game, winning and losing. It was just, we were so excited to play ball and wanted to play ball. Hmm. And this was a great thing for us. It really was.
And Pony was really a family affair for you. You played, your brother umpired. How much did it mean to you and your family?
It meant a lot to us. We had nothing. The people from Pony brought it to us. My oldest brother, he umpired, and my youngest brother played behind me. And I ended up coaching and giving something back that I could. My brother coached, youngest brother coached for maybe 15 to 18 years in the league. So yeah, it was a community thing that people just stepped up and helped everybody they could.
So, do you have an all-time favorite memory? Was it the 1952 first Pony League World Series that you played in?
Yeah, it was very interesting. The following year was 1952, and it was the first Pony League World Series, and I was fortunate enough to play on that all-star team. And it was really an exciting thing to us. We got to stay away from home in the W&J dormitories, the college here in town, and it was a big deal for a 13 or 14-year-old young man to do something like that. When you look back, you can talk like that, but then we were kids, and it was great. It was very great. I mean, we played, I can remember we played Brockton, Massachusetts, mm-hmm. and that was when the Boston Braves was in Boston, and they come in here with the beautiful outfits from the Boston Braves. And in those days, Rocky Marciano, the world champion boxer, was from Brockton, Massachusetts, and he bought them the Boston Brave uniforms, and we played them. And if you go back and look in the archives, all we had was our regular league uniforms, mm-hmm. and they gave us a hat for an all-star team. But that sort of set an example to us of what was there, and it was great. We looked like little farmers from Washington, and these teams come in from California, and they were all decked out and ready to play ball. We was too, but it was that's one of the things that I can remember the most. And I can remember we didn't wear helmets. There was no helmets then. And I can remember one of our players getting hit in the head, and that was probably the sad part of the thing that I remember. And it was after that they started wearing helmets, and it scared a lot of young men to see somebody go down like that and land in the hospital.
Yeah. Do you remember seeing Joe Horland pitch?
Joe Horland pitched BBs, what we called. I mean, yes, I batted against Joe Horland. I think he was from California, am I right?
I think Texas.
Texas, yeah. He played the majors.
Yep.
We played against him. He was good then, and he ended up being good. I do remember Joe Horland.
We're here with Chuck Kosey, one of the first pony leaguers to ever play pony baseball. Chuck, what life lessons do you think playing pony can teach our youth of today, other than discipline, which you already mentioned?
It's a tough question. The world's changed. I really think that by the time these young men hit pony, they've been exposed to so much. They start playing in, second, third grade, fourth grade, and they're ready for baseball then. They know what competition's all about. I think one of the biggest things is if I'd say anything to these young athletes today, I'd say try as hard as you can, but be humble. Just play your game and do your thing and be humble about it. You see so much in the major leagues today in football and stuff, how they celebrate. And, maybe I'm too old and old-fashioned, but I just believe if you're good, you can show it in your game. You don't have to be a demonstrator.
Now, 67 years of history later, spreading from Little Washington, Pennsylvania to all over the world, it must make you pretty proud to see how far the organization has come.
It's amazing. I mean, I had the fortunes to travel a lot in my work in the 60s, and I'm living now in Reno, Nevada, and closer to California. And, it's an honor to see this thing. Coming from Little Washington, PA, it really is something. You people just got to realize how small this community was in 1951, and the adult volunteers that sat and gave their time to put this thing together, like Lou Hayes. And there was a lot of Lou Hayeses there, Paul Ware. There was so many adult men in town that spent their time to organize this. And they had a thought, and they had a mission, and the mission worked. It just continued on to up in the days of Roy Gillespie and now Abe Key, and they're all great people. And they came through the system, and they understand it. And it just amazes me to sit here in this boardroom and see how many people come in from all over the United States that's on your board. It amazes me to see this, and I'm proud of it. I really am, that I was a part of it.
And for those who don't know, here at Pony Headquarters, Chuck takes care of the building. He's overseeing all the renovation process here. But Chuck, like you've mentioned, really, youth sports in general have changed a lot since you played. But the game itself really hasn't. 3 strikes, you're out. You have to touch 4 bases to score a run. So what is it, do you think, about pony baseball that's remained through the decades that makes a positive impact on children's lives?
Well, I think pony gives the youth of America something to do and something, an organization. You have to have an organization in any sport. Because I say that because I played in the backyard where we just played amongst ourselves. And I think pony brought something that we needed in this country. The age groups from 13 to 14. We didn't have it. There was a gap there. We know that other programs had other programs going on. But ponies seem to excel in that age group of 13 to 14. But now you're worldwide in softball, and you've really expanded on this. You also brought the girls into it, which I think is great. That was a great asset to Pony International. I can't say much about it except it was really needed, and people like you are continuing doing this. This is what's great. It just really is, and I just feel honored that I was a part of it.
That's great. Well, we were honored to have you as well, Chuck. So greatly appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time. I'm Carson Fox here from Pony Baseball and Softball Headquarters, signing off.